Hello, I was looking at the cat over here. Um, I let the cat in. That there's a reason why he's an outside cat. It's very sad because he loves it inside, but he's an impossible animal to live with. And even when he's in a good mood and purring like he is now, he's being a pain in the ass and scratching me and whatnot. So that's why he's an outside cat. But anyways, I'll warn you ahead of time. This won't be no hour epic. Uh, I know you're horribly disappointed about that, but I figured I should report that since I've been sort of chronicling my struggles on here, I should report that I backslide, which isn't cool. Um, I don't know about kindling or anything like that, but I had that oral surgery appointment. I was taking half a pill a day, which is only a quarter of a milligram, 0.25, and I was very happy about that. I felt pretty good, but I was also still in withdrawal. But I felt pretty good about what I was doing in my progress. But I had that appointment coming up, so I'm like, I can't go in and go through all that, travel 60 miles to another city, and have interaction with dozens of people when I barely want to leave the house and have intrusive stuff done to my face and teeth yanked out and the threat of complications and all that. I can't do that in withdrawal, just can't. So I was like, I'm going to backslide for that day. So, taking half a pill. I took a pill the night before. Let's just do it this way to make it short. I took 3.5 pills, which 7 times what I was taking in a period of about 28 hours. And then the next day, I very determinedly went back to my quarter of a pill. The next day, after that, I took my quarter of a pill a little earlier in the day. I made a video and I put it on here. My nose is itching now because of the cat. Uh, I put a video on here saying that I couldn't promise you that I wouldn't backslide, and I wasn't going to. And then I got a call from my brother, and I'm like, I gotta talk to him, and it'd be okay if. How do you pronounce the guy's name? Satra? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce the philosopher guy's name, but he has that quote, hell is other people. That's not true if except for when you're in withdrawal. So, I just wasn't in the mood to listen to my brother use me to stay awake because he has insomnia problems. So he'll be like, you think I talk slow? He'll take a week to make a sentence, and I got to sit there and listen to him, and I'm like, I'm already edgy and feeling bad, and I'm like, well, I already picked up the phone. I got to talk to him, so I use that as an excuse to double my dose that day. Next day, I had some nonsense happen and tripled my dose, and then today I went back to doubling my dose. So, not really happy about that at all. I got a half a pill left in here. I got a script. They called and said my script was in. That I got to pick up tomorrow. And I've been having a lot of anxiety, and my heart's been bothering me the last couple of days. And as usual, it's all people related. I mean, I always got a baseline of generalized anxiety, but yeah, life would be beautiful if you only dealt with sane people, but I don't know sane people. I know one guy that's sane, so I don't know sane people. I know crazy people, and I know damaged people, and I know drug people, and dope people, and alcohol people, and I don't, I'm not normal myself as far as the way I process things. I thought about doing a video instead of one of these type of videos where I'm just talking about the stupid Xanax and alprazolam benzo addiction. Where I talk about I think I had a title for it. There was something like emotions are a luxury, And because of CRPS, and I've explained this in other videos, but people don't understand it, I don't get to have a full range of emotions. That's why somebody can really do something bad to me and I have to process it. I have to step back from it. I'm not talking about like getting punched in the face or something like that. They can do something really underhanded, backstabbing thing, and what I told them, I was like, look, and then I just kind of back off and I think about it and I try to process it, because I'm not allowed to entertain negative emotions like anger and hatred and stuff like that. I'm not allowed to, because my body doesn't allow it to me. My body doesn't allow me to cry. I cried on 2 days after Christmas, December 27th, over getting rejected by someone, and they were just nasty to me. And that was the first time I cried in 25 years. And of course, it made me sicker than hell. And my heart's been messing with me for a couple of days. And I don't really expect people to understand that, that I don't have the privilege of a full range of emotions. So when you see me on here and I'm telling stories and smiling and joking and happy and stuff, it's really because I don't have a choice. It's not, I can't get on here and I see I just looked at a video of a lady that was crying and angry and stuff, and I'm like, well, that must be nice. Does that sound ridiculous? You think it's I don't know. CRPS is so freaking weird that you just can't explain it to people. It's sort of like a broken record. Like you get an injury and there's pain there, and then the pain gets trapped in your body and the injury is healed, and the injury might be 20 years healed, but there's like a loop inside your body, like an old-timey expression would be a broken record. It just nobody has records except for those odd people that like to play with vinyl and stuff and like to hear static. But anyways, that pain signal, or that sensation of pain, is just trapped in your body. So I had back surgery 84 and 86, and I'm still in pain from it, even though it's healed up. And I don't really even have back pain, which is the weirdest part of all, but I have neuropathy from the nerves that were aggravated. And so I have it in 70% of my body, pretty much. Well, who the hell wants? It's bad enough I'm sitting here shirtless and I can't wear a shirt, but I have it from like the rib cage down. And since I've been having a lot of heart troubles, that I'm pretty sure my heart's involved in it. So, yeah, that's of course the anxiety that I have. That started me like looking for chemical help, which started me on this Benzo trip, which really hasn't helped it. And I don't know. I can't live. People need other people. I can't live like off by myself, but I can't be around people that don't get it. So every time I interact with somebody, it's just a dicey business, and it's okay. Like if it's not somebody that's it's not somebody that I left myself open to emotionally. So in other words, if like I'm dealing with a troll on the internet, of course it's not going to bother me. Or if I'm dealing with deal with some jerks that lived upstairs or whatever, it's not gonna make me sick. But if I have like a family member deal me some dirt, it might make me sick. For thing that happened on the 27th, I'm not over it yet. As far as like the physical effects of it, I'm over. Of course, the emotional effects, I'm not over it. But it made me literally physically ill for at least a month, and I ended up in a psych unit over it. just because I was, I was like the sanest person to ever go in a psych unit. I was going in there because I'm like, look, I can't deal with this much pain and suffering. Maybe that, maybe I can get some. It's in a hospital, so I was thinking maybe I can get some neurologists or someone to look at my body and get some help there. And I met a nerve guy in there, and he's part of a what do you call it, pain management thing. Then my pain management appointment was too close to my oral surgery appointment, so I had to postpone it a month. But I'll go in there. That's about the only thing I got out of going into a psychiatric unit, because I knew more than most of the people that were in there anyways. I'm old, experienced, and I've been in those places before. They use a little bit of different techniques about it now. It used to be all about drawing out people's pain, the encounter group thing, and get people to express their misery, which I think is still the way to go. But it was really weird in there because I was trying to do that, and they were like, why are you scaring these people? And it's like, well, I thought that's what we were supposed to do, was talk about the bad stuff, and then everybody, kind of has that cathartic thing where they express something that they've been repressing. But I started just telling a story about getting the shit kicked out of me and beat up real bad, and the guy that was running the place, he's like, what's the point of this, and stopped me. And then somebody in the group put their hand on their arm, this older lady, and said, you're scaring the people, honey. And that shit's funny to me. That happened a long time ago, so that's fun. It's just a story to me that some guy, I pissed off the wrong guy, and the guy tried to kill me. But anyways, so yeah, I just want to tell everybody that I try to be cheerful, and I don't see any point about getting on here and being all doom and gloom and stuff. But I have access to the full range of emotions. So there is a video of me on here that's just called Benzo Addiction Despair. And I'm literally 10 days in tolerance withdrawal. And, I'm not laughing and joking in that one, but I'm not crying and weepy either. I think I even managed a chuckle in there. So I'm not, I'm completely miserable in that video. And just, I'm just like, I can't, I'm like, I can't do this. I don't want to feel like this, And, but there's no weepiness or crying or emotion expressed, and it's like I don't get to do that, because if I'm exposed to that, if I'm exposed to that kind of stuff, and then I sort of catch it like a cold, it'll mess me up, and I'll get physically sick, and that's what people don't understand about CRPS, and I don't expect anybody to understand it because it's too freaking weird. And people that I've known for decades, they don't get it. Still don't get it. So I don't expect anybody to understand that. But yeah. Oddly enough, crying, getting angry, all that stuff, those are luxury items to me. I don't get to do that. Believe me, I get angry. I don't cry because I just don't. I cried on the 27th, literally the first time in 25 years. But I'm forced to get angry sometimes. I might as well tell a story because that's what I do. But I had people living upstairs, and there's just like bad hood rats. I'm just going to call them hood rats. I'm sorry if that's offensive or whatever, but hood rats. So anyways, they're having a fight. They have like a 3-strike policy in the building. So I'm like, they're going to get thrown out over this, but I'm not going to make the call. Somebody else can make the call. There's not that many people in the building. So, midnight, one of the women that lived up there, older, I'm talking about like a 60-year-old woman, and not exactly a hardy 60-year-old woman, comes down and she knocks on my door after midnight. It's like a couple minutes after midnight, and I'm like, who is it? And, it's like, her name was Bootsy. That was her nickname. She's like, Bootsy. And I'm like, thought about it, and I'm like, well, maybe she wants to try to talk me out of calling. about this latest outburst of noise and fighting upstairs and getting them booted out. So I'm like, I'll just open the door and I'll reassure that it's not going to come from me. So I open the door and I'm like, what do you want? She's like, can I come in for a minute? And I'm like, okay. So I literally had it in preconceived notion in my mind that that's what the conversation was going to be. But no, she wants to borrow money. She already borrowed some money off of me, and I told her, don't, I'll loan you this money, but don't come back and ask for money. And she's bothering me after midnight, and she's half in the bag drunk, and I can't get her to leave. So, and I can't lay hands on her, even though she's in my house, because she's a 60-year-old frailish woman, but she won't leave my house. So I'm like, get the fuck out of my house, and she wasn't listening to me. I figured I had to do that. And I thought she left the door open, and I pushed my arm forward and I hit the door, and the door was shut. And I'm like, bang! I was like, whoo, ow. And then I was like, get the fuck out of my house. And I opened the door and I yelled at her until she went in the hallway. And then she kept on, and she just kept on doggedly. Saying, I'm good for blah, 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 and like that. And I said, man, you don't get it. If you were a man, there'd already be blood on this floor. And then her people start chirping at me from upstairs. And at this time, I'm so mad, I don't care if a Bengal tiger is coming down the stairs. I ain't going nowhere. And I can't. I'm in horrible physical shape. But your core personality doesn't change. And, I was just like that when I was younger. So, I'd throw one punch, fall over, and get stomped on is what would happen if I got in a fight. But anyways, there's people upstairs. You can't talk to her like that. And I said, you think you're the only motherfuckers that can yell in this building? And I'm losing my temper and stuff. And then finally the daughter comes down there, and I know she carries a box cutter. And but she's not looking me in the eye, and I've been in enough altercations to know that when you're going to do something to somebody and you're going to get a fight with somebody, you look at them. You want to know what they're going to do before or where their body's positioned and stuff. She wasn't looking at me, so she wasn't wanting no fight, but she was like, I know you wasn't down here bumping on my mom. And I'm like, I never touched your mom. And then, Bootsy was like, no, he never touched me. He never put a hand on me. And she was trying to escalate the fight and stuff. I'm like, both you get your fucking asses back upstairs, man. I'm yelling at them. They're like, we're gonna tell the landlord about this. And I said, you tell the landlord about this. Why don't you call the fucking police while you're at it? But you get your fucking asses upstairs. And I yelled them upstairs, and I was all angry and stuff, right? I come in the house, my heart's beating all fast, my head's spinning, and I'm sicker than hell. And I'm like, I can't afford to do that. It almost killed me. I thought I was going to have a heart attack or something. And that CRPS is, I can't, that's all that stuff's normal. You got somebody in your house that won't leave. I guess you can threaten to call the police, but, I didn't threaten to call the police. I just I can yell her out of my house. I can't. If she's a dude, I'd just open the door and push. I'm not small. I'm not weak. Push her out the door, catch her off balance, and then shut the door and lock it. But it's a woman, so I can't touch her. Because I'm old, and that's in back in the day, we don't lay hands on women if you're a decent human being. And so anyways, I get angry. I don't cry very often, even when I feel like it. So I don't know. My heart's been bad the last couple of days. I don't know. I'm just a very odd, not normal person because of that disease. And it makes it very difficult for normal people to understand me, or people that have access to the full range of emotions. And that's really not anybody's fault. Unless you believe in God, then you can blame God for it. Or you can blame me for it for not going to the doctor when I was 15 years old. Or no, when I was 14 years old, was probably the beginning of my symptoms, when I had a spinal tumor that precipitated everything. That precipitated the surgeries that led to the CRPS, which is autonomic nerve disease. and your autonomic system is hooked into your emotions. That's why I don't get to feel angry, and I don't get to cry, and I don't get to yell, "Get the fuck out of my house," and get away with it scot free, and stuff like that. And I got to, I'm very weird about like processing things too. It's like somebody will clearly do something that's just messed up, and I will just back away. I just, instead of I'll get like a little twinge inside me, like, huh. But then I'll back away and I'll think about it, and I'll be like, then the anger will come. And, I'm like, back off on that anger. And it's why I never really was a confrontational type of person. I mean, I had fist fights and stuff when I was younger, but never the type of person that was wanting to get in everybody's face all the time. That doesn't mean you could push me over. That just means I was never like that anyway, but now I really can't afford to be like that. And I'll see some messed up stuff and I'll just have to let it go. I'm not, if I see the neighbor letting his dog take a crap in my yard, I have to weigh it. I mean, like, it's not worth the confrontation. I had a confrontation when one of their dogs attacked my cat. I couldn't help it. But I look out the window. I was feeding my cat on the porch, and he wasn't paying attention because he was eating, and this dog comes rushing on the porch. Luckily, I was there inside the house watching, and this dog grabs my cat and starts throwing it up in the air. It's about a 60 or 70 pound dog, and attacking my cat. My cat's fighting back, and the first thing I did, like a dummy, was bang on the window and yell. And then I was like, what am I thinking? And I threw open the window, and I yelled at the dog to get the fuck out of there. And it distracted the dog long enough that the cat was able to jump off the porch and run around the back. But then, the next time I saw the guys that owned the dogs, I had to go say something to them, and I had to have a confrontation about it, because that's your animal, that's your family member. You can't let that slide. Can't let that slide and think highly of yourself. So it's a very weird existence, and I don't know exactly if getting off the benzo, everything seems to be made harder by the CRPS, just everything. So I assume getting off of the benzos has made it harder. What's made it easier is my experience with suffering because of having CRPS for 32 years. That's made me deal with the suffering involved with the benzo withdrawal. I've been able to deal with that better. I do feel awfully foggy headed. I don't even know if I can't even hear myself to know if I'm speaking clearly and making sense here. I know I don't feel good, and emotionally I'm kind of like, oh Jesus, because I'm back. I'm taking double of what I was before my oral surgery appointment on Friday. And I don't know what the script is even for. I just didn't want to leave the house today. It was snowy, and the wind was freaking me out. And I'm like, man, I don't want to go out there. I don't want to ride my little bicycle, my little electric bicycle, because my doctor's not too far from here, out in that weather. And then the people that I ask rides off of are all messing with me, because that's what family is for, make life harder. So I was like, I don't really want to talk to her. I don't want to talk to him. And it reminds me of that old proverb that if you meet one asshole during the day, he's probably an asshole. But if everybody you run into during the day isn't you think they're an asshole, it's probably you that are the asshole. So I start thinking like that. I'm like, I start doubting my own experience and what I'm thinking. I'm like, is it just me, or is all these people making this whole withdrawal thing more difficult? Or is it the other way around, that these people are the same and everything's more difficult because I'm going through the withdrawal? If you can follow what I mean. It's like, am I the asshole here, or are these people being the assholes? And I don't know. I don't know. I just know that I'm like, I got like 4 different situations going on where I got to think about, like, this person doing this and this person doing that, and I ran through that in another video. And it's like, you don't need extra things when you're going through withdrawal. You don't need extra anything. You don't, you know, it was to the point where, it's to the point where like everything's a freaking trial. And you definitely don't need any more emotional garbage happening, because your emotions are already spiking, and your brain's already a bunch of napalm waiting for a match. Uh, Anything irritate. I'm not even making any sense. I'm not doing good. I'm having a bad time of it. Um, but yeah, in the interest of being honest, I thought I'd take a couple minutes. And plus, this doing these videos is therapeutic for me. For whatever reason, I feel better when I do them. I even go back and look at them. And I don't necessarily like looking at my ugly mug, but when I do make sense, or I feel like when you're just sitting there by yourself. See, I'm not making any fucking sense. When you're just sitting there by yourself, and you're like, you feel crazy when you basically you feel nuts when you're going through withdrawal. You feel like you're not in touch with reality very good. So when I look at one of my own videos, I'm like, this is a guy who's making sense. It's like, I can follow what he's saying. This is me making sense. I'm not that bad off. So it's comforting for me to go back and look at a video, and I'll be messing up some of my phrases, and I'll be messing up some of my words, and I'm like, not obviously not Mark Twain not in trouble as an orator. Garrison Keillor is safe. All them guys that are famous for storytellers. But I'm like, yeah, this he's actually telling a coherent story, and he seems to be making sense, and he seems to be using words mostly in the right order. So it's comforting, because when you're just sitting there by yourself, and your brain is like in that withdrawal, that's you feel crazy. You feel like you're not in your right mind, anyways, and you don't feel like a sane person. So if I can look at myself in a video and be like, oh, okay, this actually made some kind of sense, it makes me feel better, and it's certainly. But yeah, the backsliding thing, emotionally not good. I don't know if I kindled myself over that just from um, taking all those pills when I was suffering during the oral surgery thing, from the anxiety beforehand, and then afterwards when I had post-operative pain and had no decent pain pills. I still didn't make it to the drugstore to pick up their shitty pain pills they had for me. And they had like an antiseptic wash or something. I took some old antibiotics that I had here just to be safe for a couple of days. But yeah, there's no reason for me to make a long video today. I mean, um, maybe I'll be doing better tomorrow. Tomorrow I have to. Weather's going to be a little better, and I'll go in and pick up my script. I don't even know what my script is for. I assume, which I shouldn't do that it'll be for the same dose that I had last time. He didn't say anything about lowering my dose, but who the hell knows? With doctors, who the hell knows? Um, like I said, I had a good conversation with him, and he's like, I won't drop you off it, but that don't mean he won't. It's like, I won't drop you off it completely. Might have been in his exact words, so he might like to be throwing me into another 50% taper when I'm up in my dose. He might give me 15 pills for the month, like they did somebody I knew that was taking Xanax. They just like said, okay, now you can have like 15 pills for a month, 15 half-milligram pills for a month, and see how you do. And I feel like I can survive now, at least. I feel like I can survive and keep my sanity. Just have to stay away from people and isolate myself, because I can't take any more nonsense from people. I mean, I just can't take it. I have to live like a hermit. And that gets really old. That's another reason why I'm talking on here, is just the loneliness, and just keeping myself company. Uh, but when you got a lot of crazy people in your life and they're toxic people, you can't be around them. And you have a disease like mine where um, if you get upset, and they do upsetting things, and if you get upset, then you get sick, and then you have bad heart days, and your autonomic system decides to go haywire. And yeah, and as far as like this is just a bad day. That's one thing I'm able to do. Like I'm fortunate that way. It's like this doesn't mean anything as far as tomorrow. I'm kind of like, hopefully the Cavaliers will be that way, because the Cavaliers, they had a very bad day in their first game against the Pacers. LeBron James did not even take a shot in the first quarter. I don't know what the hell that was about. He literally did not take a shot in the first quarter. That's supposed to be the best player in the world, and he's not even taking a shot. So, I can be like that, like professional basketball players. It's just one game. And this is just one day, so maybe the Cavaliers will do good tomorrow when they play. And maybe tomorrow I'll go get my script and I'll feel like a little bit more in charge of things. And these last 2 days I haven't wanted to eat. I haven't wanted to do anything. I haven't put groceries in my house. I've eaten just cold pizza. Well, not cold pizza, but old pizza that I heated up in the microwave, which my stomach is not too fond of. You know, eating that or eating that around the clock. I'm not 20 years old. I can't afford to be eating like that. Uh, just don't want to do anything. This video is already 32 minutes. It must be loneliness that's driving me to do these videos. Um, like I said, then I go back and look at them, and I'll go back and look at this one and be like, ugh, most likely. Like, yeah, you ain't doing too good, dude. But hey, if that'll help me to go back and suffer some more and go back to my quarter milligram schedule, and then see, I was all cheerful like a week ago before the surgery. I was like, "Hey man, this is gonna be a breeze." You know, I'm gonna like, I'll be off of this month. I'll be off of this maybe even before April's over. Um, Now I don't necessarily feel all that confident and positive about it. Uh, but I know I'll survive. I know I've already cut 50% off of what I was taking 34 days ago. That's not a small accomplishment. And like I said, it's just difficult. Like when everybody is crazy. And like I said, I'm not sure if I'm just crazy and everybody's sane, but I don't think so. I got somebody that owes me $150 that just not calling me at all. I'm not hallucinating that. They owe me $150. I'm a very poor person. It's a lot of money. And I just got a call saying like the police were after them, knocking on their door, and they weren't home luckily, and they had a warrant out on, and she's like, well, if pay this fine or whatever, and I'm like, okay, because money. One thing, when you have CRPS, money don't fix it. I mean, uh, yeah, you can throw a bunch of treatments at an incurable disease and waste a bunch of time if you want. They probably have some better ways to treat the symptoms now, but there's no cure for it. Um, it's an odd disease. They don't really know much about it, and they didn't even know what to call it. When I contracted it, they called it RSD, reflex sympathetic dystrophy, and for whatever godforsaken reason, they changed the name to CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome, because they realized that it doesn't affect just the sympathetic nervous system, and maybe the word dystrophy didn't fit. Um, I don't know. But yeah, now I'm just confused. I was going to make a nice I almost said consinct. I almost combine concise and succinct. I guess there's the same damn meaning on both of those words. But yeah, my brain is not good, and things are not good. So um, tomorrow's another day. Maybe I won't be so depressed and uh, have a better outlook about things. And I don't know. It's just difficult. People are just dealing with people when you're in withdrawal is just super difficult. And then when I have CRPS and can't get upset, and can't, imagine being in withdrawal and not being able to get upset when it's the most upsetting experience I can think of. When you got to sit here and laugh and joke and tell stories because that's just what you got to do. What you can do. That's just what I can do. And of course, like intellectually, I'm like, oh, this fucking sucks. But as far as feelings, why I can't, I'm not allowed to feel that. If I feel those things, and it affects my health, it actually uh, causes me to have heart palpitations and autonomic symptoms and sweating and uh, more pain, more trouble. It wrecks me. So I'm not allowed to feel bad. When I feel bad, I'm not allowed to express it anyways. Uh, so anybody that sees these videos, they might see somebody that seems like they're doing better than they are. And also, I kind of believe in like the positivity thing. At least I'm not in one of those things. I assume you can hear that ambulance. I've been in an ambulance a lot of times since I've been living here, so every time I hear an ambulance, I just don't like it. I don't even like to hear them because I've been carted out in an ambulance out of this place I've been living in for 7 years. I think 4 times, and so I don't even like to hear them. Um, I don't know. I'm just. Eesh. There's a baseball game on now that I'd like to watch on right now, but uh, sitting in that chair all day and just not doing anything. I'm gonna go back and sit in the chair. Yeah. I guess it's just dumb for me to stay on here because I already talked about the two things I wanted to talk about, which was me backsliding and me not feeling good about it, and trying to explain the CRPS thing to people, how I'm not allowed a full range of emotions. So maybe going through withdrawal, which is like maybe the most upsetting thing I can think of as far as fucking with your emotions, and I can't get upset about it. I mean, even when I got cold turkeyed, um, where they screwed up my prescription January 16th, and I got cold turkey, and I'm like, got a bad heart, got CRPS, and I'm going into cold turkey off of maybe the most dangerous cold turkey there is the benzodiazepine cold turkey. I was told recently by a professional person that only two withdrawals can kill healthy people, relatively healthy people, and that's benzo withdrawal and alcohol withdrawal. And so yeah, I had to go cold turkey, and I couldn't even, you know, I just laid there calmly and took it, and just had to make sure that I stayed calm because it might have killed me to get upset and to freak out like any normal person would. It might have actually killed me. So I had to be like, just maintain, just concentrate on your breathing. Do what some people call the throat breathing, but it's really from down in your gut. And just breathe and endure. Try to keep your mind from thinking bad things. I guess this is a long video now. It's part of these long videos things is just desperation. it allows some of the desperation to come out. Um, since I can't weep and cry and yell and carry on and do the other normal things that other people do when they feel like this. Um, I do like telling my silly stories, though. I always like telling a story. I wish I was better at it. Uh, I'm not in storytelling mode now. Uh, it's just too hard. But yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy a funny story, especially one that's got pain or blood or ridiculous incidents in it. Like I had, I'm not gonna tell a story, but I was on my electric bike, and I actually there's one tree in front of my house for 100 yards, and due to an odd happenstance that I can hardly describe to you in the state I'm in now, I ran into it. I hit a tree on an electric bike going full tilt, and flew off the bike and hit my head on the tree and knocked myself goofy. And there was people watching, and because I'm a big guy, and I got up and I started swearing and stuff that they didn't have. Speaking of not having normal emotional reactions, they didn't say nothing. They went dead quiet. There was like 4 people on the porch across the street. They were watching it like a movie. They didn't laugh. They didn't interact with me in any way. There was no sound. There was no. It was just like dead silence. They didn't want no part of me. Because I wasn't that messed up at that point. And I guess I'm scary looking to people that don't know me. I've always got that impression. I've always walked by car doors and heard the locks go down. And I've seen people walk on the other side of the street from me and stuff. I must have a bad face or something. Um, but of course I'm all crippled up now, so don't get that reaction anymore. But at that time, I ran into that tree head first. Dead silence from them people across the porch. They're just pretending they weren't watching that. And then I might as well finish the story. But so I get up and I'm swearing like a sailor and holding my head and stuff. And the bike is really heavy. And at the time, the guy with the wheelchair moved into the building, and there's a ramp out there now. But at the time, there was no ramp, and the bike weighed like it had lead acid batteries on it. They were really heavy, and the motor in the bike itself, in the wheel, was really heavy. So the bike weighed at least 100 pounds. So I had to lift it up onto the porch, and I'm still goofy from banging my head into the wall. So I lift it up onto the porch, and I take a couple of steps, and I fall. And I fall down on the concrete, and the bike lands on top of me. And then you want to hear some swearing. Still dead silence from the peanut gallery across the street. And I push the bike over top of me. And I'm like, I'm done now. I've learned my lesson. I sit on the porch, and I just put my hands in my head, and I'm like, oh, God. I just got beat up by a bicycle and a tree. Tree beat the shit out of me, and a bicycle, they ganged up on me and beat me up. So I go in the house, and there's the mark of Cain on my forehead where I hit the tree. Once I got my head together, and I was able to lift the 100-pound bike up onto the porch. It's just those people's reaction I thought was so odd. I was like, what are they afraid of? Do they think I'm just going to go over there and start beating up people, or what? There are like 3 people out there, and they're just all dead quiet. That's just not normal. And then I told that story to my landlord, and he started laughing. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, that's the appropriate reaction to somebody dumb enough to hit a tree, and then it's the only tree within 100 yards of. It's the only tree. There's no tree on 50 yards either side of that tree. So somehow I managed to hit the only tree. And I said, yeah, no, that's the appropriate reaction to somebody that runs an electric bicycle into a tree when it's the only tree in a 100 yards area. Anyways, yeah, that kind of stuff amuses me. That's 44 minutes. Like I said, all I wanted to say was backsliding, miserable, foggy-headed all over again. And CRPS, you don't get the full range of emotions. You might see me on here and you might think I'm okay, but I'm not okay. I'm not allowed to be not okay. So You know, emotions are a luxury was what that's what I call the video. I call the video CRPS, when emotions are a luxury. And then maybe some CRPS people will watch it, and they might understand it. But, that doesn't get normal people to understand it, or people without CRPS. And that's the people that we need to understand. It's like you're not dealing with somebody that has a normal situation emotionally, because the disease is hooked into it's an autonomic disease, which is hooked into the emotional centers of your brain, and you don't get to feel, you don't get to express emotions that other people express. And when people hurt you emotionally, they hurt you physically, and you could be sick for days, maybe even as much as a month, if it's something really bad. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to try to do better tomorrow. I won't make a video every day. I was sitting here watching a very old basketball game, saying, like, just like, what is the purpose of doing this? At least this is something. This is producing something for people to look at. It's not watching a game that happened in 1977. All right, I'm going to check out. And yeah, it'll be a few days before I make another video. Maybe I'll be doing better. Where's that button that turns this off? I believe it's right here. Goodbye, people.